Okay, time to sell, productizers. Getting interest in your services is great, but unless you can close the deal, your business won't succeed. Entire courses are dedicated to successful selling, so we won't be able to dive too deep. However, this lesson should give you a good starting point. Your sales process should be seen simply as a trust-building exercise. If a prospect is willing to get on the phone and have a conversation with you, he or she almost definitely needs the service that you offer. At that point, it's about pricing and trust. The more trust, the more the prospect will be willing to pay. This is a simple graph to illustrate that basic sales equation. Your price is a constant. By default, your prospects start at the bottom bullet, which says no sale. However, as you build trust with the prospect, he or she will eventually reach the point where they trust you and trust that your service can benefit them to the point where a sale is made, right here. If you're able to build trust further, you may get to a point where your customer is willing to pay significantly more, in which case you may be undercharging, which is right here. So how do you build that trust? I like to do it in 4 steps. First, ask. In order to be able to sell something to someone, you have to know what their pain points are. And rather than assume, you can ask them directly. Start with some background questions to get to know their business, then figure out what their goals are. And you may want to dive further than just their business goals, all the way into their personal goals. Finally, see what has held them back from reaching these goals thus far. Next, once you've learned about them and their pain points, you can educate them and explain what it is that you do and how what you do will help them alleviate their pain points and reach their goals. But don't simply stop at the education phase. Show them that you've done it before. Show them other clients of yours who have faced the same problems and are now reaching similar goals. And finally, reassure them. Explain what you've shown them is a repeatable process with a proven method, and that you'll be able to reproduce the results that you've gotten for other clients with them, and then explain that the process will be as painless for them as possible. So after you've asked, educated, shown, and reassured, you will have earned the right to ask the question, so is there anything that would keep you from buying today? At that point, even if you've done a great job so far, you'll likely get objections. Remember, the default position for a prospect is no sale. So you have to build enough trust to overcome that inertia. And since your service costs money, the prospect wants to find a reason not to buy. This means you'll likely run into some objections. However, there are a few objections that you'll get time and time again. And over time, you can hone your answers to be more and more effective. So now, download the Sales Objections worksheet from productized.com/DL, or open that document if you've already downloaded the document's cache, and let's go through some of the common sales objections, what they actually mean, and what those objections mean the prospect wants to hear. So here's what the Sales Objection worksheet should look like, and we'll go through the 5 objections that we got most commonly with JurisPage, our web design business. So the first objection was an objection to the upfront cost. And the translation to that is that spending this amount of money all at once is scary, and I'm worried about sunk cost if something goes wrong. So really what they want to hear is all the things they get, what they're missing out on if they don't act and act now, and they could leave if they want, and they can spread the upfront payment out. So once you hear this objection, I would suggest writing it out under this example right here. And then once you hone your response, I would suggest writing that here. And I would recommend doing that for all 5 of these common sales objections. So the next sales objection that we typically would get is an objection to the recurring cost. And so the translation here is, I don't think the service that you deliver monthly will save me enough time and headache or provide enough return to justify the cost. So really this means they want to hear you provide enough on an ongoing basis to save them time and money. The headache they could face if they didn't pay a little extra on a monthly basis to have someone to call is worth the recurring cost, and the monthly outlay compared to the new monthly revenue gives them a good ROI. And again, write your example objection here and your response here. The next objection that we would get is an objection to time frame. And this is when people would say, yeah, this sounds good, but maybe not right now. Let's talk again in a month. And the translation really is, I think this is going to take too much of my time and I don't want to deal with it right now. So really what they want to hear from you is they're only required to have a very minimal involvement. You can work quickly and you'll take care of everything on a monthly basis so that they can focus on their business. Really, they just want to be reassured that this isn't going to be difficult for them and you'll take care of everything. So again, write the example and your response. Next we have, I'm just looking around and gathering proposals from different web design agencies. And the translation there is, I know that I need a website, but I don't trust you over other companies yet. And this one is pretty hard to combat because that means that you just haven't built the trust yet. And so at this point, you might want to put them in a little email campaign that will give them touch points every now and then just to keep you top of mind. And finally, the objection, I'm not sure if I even need a website. So the translation is, I can see that a website might help, but my business has survived to this point without a website, so I'm not sure it's worth the risk and the extra hassle. So in this case, they want to hear what they're missing out on by not having a website, that the website won't be something that they have to worry about and you'll take care of it, and that the ROI is there. And again, write the example objection and your response here. So hopefully that lesson gave you an idea of what to expect when you're on sales calls, how to build trust, and how to overcome objections. I'll see you in the next lesson where we talk about writing proposals.